Welcome, everyone. So, this is the first episode of our podcast, which we have started on pranic healing and things related to spirituality. And we have a very special guest today, Mr. Vaibhav B, who's from Mysore. And he's been into pranic healing since the year 2000. So, it's been almost 25 years. And he's been teaching since 2002. He has vast experience of teaching all over the world in countries like Israel, Ethiopia, Togo, Benin, Ivory Coast, Nepal, and of course, all over India. He has centers, multiple centers in Bangalore, Mysore, Mandya, Sharan, Karnataka. And also he's teaching higher courses. So he teaches basic advanced psychotherapy of pranic healing, also teaches pranic crystal healing, psychic self-defense. And personally, he has been a great mentor for me. He has helped me in difficult times, guided me, inspired me, and not only me, I know hundreds of people who he has inspired, guided, and many of them are doing very well in their own fields or as healers or as trainers. So we welcome today's special guest, and we will be sharing and discussing about pranic healing and this journey connected to pranic healing today. So I hope all of you enjoyed today's episode and learn a lot from it too.
Thank you, Anahad. Namaste. Thank you.
So Vaibhav sir, welcome to today's podcast.
Yes.
So how do you feel being the first guest of the podcast?
Thank you so much. It's a great moment for me. I feel happy that I've been invited and to share whatever the knowledge I have about mind journey in pranic healing. So I'm very thankful to you.
Okay. So I would first like to thank you for taking out so much time and always, I mean, of course, you have been very, very inspirational for me. And I'm also very happy that you are here as our first guest. So today I would like to know, and also I would like the audience to know your journey into pranic healing and what you have faced and how you have overcome certain challenges or what are the things you do to become successful. Okay. So first I would just like to understand and know like how you came into pranic healing in the first place.
Okay. So that's a very interesting question. I was a student. Okay. I was not a good student. My average scoring was around 52%. So I was, and I was into stream which I was not really liking. So my parents are like, you have to learn this. So because they have a goal for you. So I was in that kind of stuck situation where I had no heart to study that particular subject. In fact, to be honest, I had flunked in one subject. Okay, and during that I was reading books on acupuncture. I was reading books on meditation. I was reading a lot of books except that particular subject. Okay. And I was just going through that phase and I was facing my supplementary exam. And then I read an article on a local magazine. And there was an article on pranic healing. It's a beautiful article written by one of my basic pranic healing trainers. His name is Professor Nagaraj. And in that article, in fact, he made us, do the sensitizing, everything. Beautifully written article. I was very impressed. I was doing all that. And my mother also happened to read that article. And then she said, there is this article on pranic healing, did you read? I was like, yes, of course, I finished last week. Then she said, and this particular trainer is from Mysore. Why don't you, go call you doctor? So I called and Mr. Nagaraj, he asked me if you try those experiments, feeling and seeing the air pranas. Those things he had mentioned in the article. So I said, yes, sir, I had done that and yes, these are my experiences. So he said, wow, you're very sensitive. Why don't you come for the next basic pranic healing course? And my mother said, I'll pay you for the course fee. And I went for the class. Of course, I was mind blown by the amount of knowledge and self-transformation and some things that I could do with my hand, which I never felt that I can do it in my entire life. Okay, so that's my starting point in pranic healing. And after that, of course, I completed my exam. I passed with some minimum marks. And there was a huge transformation in my academics also after joining pranic healing. In fact, when I graduated, I was a distinction student. Second class marks, one subject failed, to distinction. That was a huge jump. All that credit goes to pranic healing.
Oh, that's interesting. So, when you say you were a student when you came into Pranic Healing, were you in school or were you
Okay, second Tuesday.
okay?
I
And
was 17-year-old.
17. Okay, that's interesting. So this is something which is very interesting because we see a lot of people who are very young and they are students who come into Pranic Healing. But also at the same time, many people have this kind of misconception where they feel they are too young to enter a spiritual journey or learn about healing. So can you throw some light about as a student at that age, how it helped you not only in terms of studies but also later on in your career?
Yeah, that's a very good question because I always tell whomever I meet, especially people are doing their second QC and graduation, that day I said, this is the age you should get into pranic healing. Now, there are many reasons for that. And not just pranic healing, like spirituality. So there are many reasons for that. One of the reasons, very practical reason. For example, let's say many people get into meditation, into other spiritual things at the age of, let's say, 60 after their retirement. Now, for a person who has retired at that age, and at that age, we all have lifestyle diseases, BP, heart problems, back pain, and all that. And suddenly you tell this person, sit straight, do meditation for 30 minutes. They can't. Okay. And there are certain advanced meditations that are connected to Kundalini, which I think we'll cover in this podcast. And some of these meditations cannot be practiced by people who have some of these diseases, which many people have in the present scenario. So once the body becomes limited, and that is when they get into pranic healing, and they expect that they will continue in their journey. Yes, they will definitely continue, but only to a certain level. And also, I have spoken to many elderly people who attend my classes. They say that pranic healing is not just healing; it's spirituality. It's like it teaches us about forgiveness. It teaches us about charity. Teaches why I have to do all these things. Now they feel that if I had learned all these things in my young age, I would have definitely be a better man. I had to undergo all that non-forgiveness. I did not do that. I did not. And there's so many guilt people carry. I did that, which I should not have that. I did not know how to control that. So a lot of guilt people experience. And during the old age when they come, they feel that it's my life is almost over. And that is the age they start. And they feel a lot of guilt because of all these things. Now, when somebody starts at a young age, the advantage is when a challenge comes to you, instead of thinking why this challenge came to me, with a lot of spiritual training, you will think that, okay, let me take ownership of my life and let me analyze what did I do to have this problem in my life and what should I do to actually change this. So instead of blaming other people around us or blaming the system, we become more responsible. We take ownership of life and then we apply certain things in our life that makes our life more confident, more smooth, more bold because we can guide many people. And like I said, you can, do meditation. You can do many things when the body is learned without any limitations. And these meditations or spiritual practices will not make you a sannyasi because this is one thing many youngsters tell me. Yes, sir, if I do all these things, should I not have a girlfriend? Should I not party? Should I not do that? Should I not do this? The answer is no. Look, I'm married and I had girlfriends when I was in graduation and I led a very normal life. But I also knew that I have to be very responsible. I cannot do things that we do impulsively. Right. So that strength Pranic Healing gave me. And I have good friend circle. I get to enjoy life. I travel. I met many people. I used to go to parties, but not, people, they get into that completely. They spoil their education. They spoil their family life. But I did not do that because of the spiritual training, I understood where I should stop. I had boundaries. So my parents are also not very much worried about me going somewhere. They knew that, okay, he comes at this time. So those are the advantages. And also when I see the solutions we get in spirituality, the practical problems in life, I felt more empowered. Absolutely. That's what I would like to say to the younger crowd who are still thinking about, having a lot of misconceptions about spirituality.
That's actually very interesting because I think apart from the young generation, also this is a good message for parents sometimes who are very concerned because personally I've seen sometimes the parents don't want to, send them to the classes or get discouraged because they feel, okay, this person will not be interested in general life. What if they don't get married? What if they don't have a good career? But as you just mentioned, your studies and your career became better after you came into Pranic Healing. And I would share the same thing about me. When I was 17, I learned pranic healing. So I have seen myself, I've seen so many people around me. They have become more successful, more prosperous, but at the same time, being more spiritual at the same time. So they have a more balanced life.
True.
So that is something which I think is very important for everyone to understand that.
Yes.
Also, I would like to ask you, like you are talking about youngsters. So what about children? So for example, you have a young daughter. So how does that help you as a parent in terms of guiding your child? And what are the things you have noticed in her where pranic healing has helped her?
Okay. As a parent, right from the time of conceiving, we knew that if we do all these things, the child will get positive energy. So I used to make her mother, my wife, read many books connected to pranic healing. And she used to practice simple meditations. So we created a kind of positive environment when the child was still in the womb. And when she was about to come out during the delivery process, there were mild complications. The uterus did not dilate. We were thinking of going for cesarean, but I knew that there lot of once surgery is done, there are many challenges also. So I tried pranic healing and made the delivery happen naturally.
Wow.
So that happened, and since she was born like any other child, she'll have some minor health issues. Like very common thing what I've noticed at that age, the infants, especially below 2 years of age, they keep getting the stomach upset.
Yes.
Some touch many things. They put their fingers in the mouth or whatever they see, they just keep it in their mouth. So what happened? The stomach gets upset. And I've seen some of my cousins, they go to, doctors, then they give antibiotics at a very young age. And I've seen those children falling sick repeatedly. In my home, for many of these problems, I've tried pranic healing and I was able to successfully heal all these things. So she had a much healthier body and a stronger physical body from very young age. Then I'm also into yoga. So I put her into yoga along with, I have a personal trainer who comes home and teaches yoga. So I was involving my daughter also because she did yoga and she was more into physical activities. Her body became very strong from a young age. And I could see her going rope climbing and all that, which even I can't do. So she had that. Plus, we made her practice what we call a super brain yoga, which is an exercise to improve her IQ and focus and all that. So behavior wise, I never had any issues with her regarding, I've seen my friends, they're hyperactive children. They can't sit there for half an hour.
Yes.
So I've seen this girl sitting, if I'm teaching busy for 2 full days, she'll sit in one place, she'll be busy with her own things, she'll not disturb the class. Very well behaved, very mature. That is because of all these exercises. And then there are several, falls and injuries in the house. I still remember when she was young, I was ironing my clothes and I just kept the box like that. And I was taking one more pint going. And in, slip of a time, she just came, took the box, kept it on her hand. And that was like at a high heat because I was ironing my pants. She had a big burn on the hand and I just applied pranic healing for 15 years. And some of the audience may not believe this, but I'm telling you honestly, she did not have a blister. No blister. She was miraculously healed. And we had not to go to any doctor or anything. In fact, we did not even keep an ice cube on her hand.
Wow. How old was she?
She was, I think, 2 year old, 1.5, 2 year old. And you can imagine the tenderness in the skin at that age. And she was miraculously healed. So like that, children fall, they get up, they have challenges. Sometimes the tooth falls. For them, for people, it's a small thing. But of course, they can't sleep the whole night, because of pain. And along with them, the parents also cannot sleep. So that thing. Plus, sometimes she gets anxious during exam. She can't study. She's not able to focus. As a normal parent, usually we give targets to children. Do this, do that. Otherwise, you will not get this.
Yeah.
So as a parent with pranic healing background, I can actually do some healing for her. Work on her low self-esteem, clear her mind, remove anxiety, increase the energy in her brain. So what happens? It supports her in healing. And also in pranic healing, we take a moderate approach. We don't go into any extremes. So I normally don't put much pressure on her. Rather than I will try to talk to her and make her more aware that if you study, these are the benefits. And if you don't study, you can still lead a life, but you will miss these opportunities in life.
Right.
And more than that, I have given a lot of emphasis on the spirituality and character building aspect of Pranic Healing. So we do talk about law of karma, and I show on the plant, how it grows, what seed is, so you actually get that fruit.
Right.
And when they see all that, and when they see many things happening in the nature, for example, day and night. Okay, so we usually correlate it to difficult times and bright times. So when all that is practically given to her, she is able to understand many things and she can decide her own life. Now, after 10, she also can do meditation on twin hearts, which we will talk about in a while. So this meditation also she's doing once in a week, because what happens, it's not only IQ. Because if you might increase IQ with various methods available, if you focus only on IQ, you'll get a job, but you may not survive in that job,
Absolutely.
or you may not survive in a marriage.
Right.
So what is important is also EQ, which is emotional quotient. So doing meditation, practicing character building, understanding spirituality helps you to develop this emotional quotient. So that is what I'm trying to give her parallelly with, the super brain yoga and all that. So still in the process, she's 11-year-old and she still has many years to come, and I'm sure I will also learn many lessons as she grows. But it's definitely making me happy because I'm able to do much more as a father to her with the knowledge I have through pranic healing.
So is she waiting to learn pranic healing when she turns 60?
Yeah, she is very excited. Sometimes she tries to imitate, And one day she came and told us in the class somebody had a headache and Papa, did this how you heal your patients? And I asked, what happened to your friend? She, my friend felt better. I said, don't do that. Good, but stop. Okay, don't do that. Then she asked why. I said, look, there are protocols. Children, they drive two-wheelers. We have seen all these kids, they're driving two-wheelers, but they don't know any rules.
Yes.
Just because driving doesn't mean that you can go and drive everywhere. So in the same way, pranic healing, even though you imitate, learn, pick up certain things, but there is a protocol for everything, and if you don't follow that, you might get into problems. So I said, no, okay, and please do understand why I'm saying no, and these are the implications. So you become 16, you learn from me or from anybody else, no problem, but please wait for some more years.
Yeah, this is something I've seen. As we said that people who are little older, sometimes they regret, why didn't I learn pranic healing before? But what I also see is they make sure that their children learn when they are young. And I've also seen, when the children are below 16, they wait for the pranic healing class. In fact, so many of the children, the moment they turn 16, they want to learn. Because I think just being in that environment, they already start, they read some of the books sometimes, or they see the parents. So they pick up a lot of the things from the conversations. And they are actually more sensitive and faster to learn. And personally, also, I would like to say, like you were talking about your daughter, Khushi. So since I met her in Mysore, I remember when we had a 3 hour long session and she was sitting outside. So I was very concerned that she's just 10, 11 years old. Won't she get bored? And I noticed that she was absolutely even grown-ups like us may get bored that, oh, 3 hours we're doing nothing. But she was so mature about it. And 2 days I noticed that she doesn't look like a 10, 11-year-old kid. Her maturity is much above that. But although she has the childishness, it's not that she's, dull or not doing anything. She's enjoying life like a child. But at the same time, her maturity in terms of how she should behave with people, her politeness, those things are very different. So I think that is something I've noticed in some other kids also whose parents are, especially both parents are, into meditation or spiritual practice or Arathik yoga. There is a lot of change in that. Now connected to children, sometimes also, some of the parents have this fear, when the child is newborn or very young. So they feel, okay, is it safe to heal them? So as you were sharing that you have healed your daughter when she was 2 years old or even before. So can you just share some insights about that?
Yeah. One is people have fear to heal very young children. Like my daughter had a jaundice after she was born, just in 24 hours.
Which is very common.
Very common, and she was kept in that incubator.
Yeah.
So when I saw her, I asked the doctor, how many days she has to be there. I said, to explain, maybe a few days. Then I went home, I started using the advanced pranic healing techniques. In fact, I use color pranas. This is one more question many students ask me. Can I use colors on students? It's nowhere written that you should not use. This is generally white is, but many people get confused there and they think that we should not use colors, we should not heal children. So a lot of misconceptions. So I started healing her, and she in less than 24 hours. Next day evening, she was not there in the incubator. She was with her mother. Yeah. Okay. And this was possible with distant healing. I went home, I started healing. So like that, just in 24 hours after taking birth, she was already, getting the healing done. So there's no age restriction on when to heal, when you should not heal and all that. So that way it has helped me a lot.
Okay, this is a good point. Actually, I think for all the parents, sometimes we are concerned even as healers whether we should heal the kids or even the ones who are taking healing for their kids. We have healed so many newborn babies, as Vaibhav sir just shared. Even his own daughter he has healed. So anybody can be healed, even if they're just newborn. And even for people who are into advanced pranic healing, you can use advanced pranic healing if really it is needed. Okay. So yeah, this is a very important point, I think, which many people have this question about, because obviously they worry about the child's safety. Okay. Now, I would also like to, like, before going ahead, try to understand about your like pre-pranic healing, like when you were younger, like you were already 17 when you learned pranic healing. So before that, how were you as a child in terms of, like, did you have some spiritual inclination or were you interested in these things, or did it suddenly happen after pranic healing?
Okay, that's a good question. My elder age was, see, I grew up with my grandparents. My parents are in Bangalore. I had some breathing issues. So the doctors told that the Bangalore climate is not good for your child. So let him go away from Bangalore. So then my mother's parents, they volunteered. Like they were very happy because they had all three daughters and a first born grandson. They said, we will take care of Vaibhav. So you send him with us. So what was 1.5 year old when I went with my grandparents, they took care of me at Mysore. And I was very pampered, like first male born child and all that. So what happened? I was spoiled. Spoiled in the sense too much of pampering, no discipline. So I was very hyperactive, very naughty. And as I grew, like 6, 7, 8 year old, I was very violent in the school. Violent in the sense I would beat up my friends, including my seniors. Then they used to get a lot of complaints. Your grandson did this, he did that. Even the neighboring, in the house when you go near the house when you play cricket. So we used to get into fights, and I was always getting into fights. So they were one side, they were worried because, you should not become some antisocial element when he grows up, because I was constantly getting into all these things. Very hyperactive, all that. Then slowly, at the age of, I think, 10, I met one of my teachers, tuition teacher. She was near my house. She was into spirituality. So when I met her, she was giving me tuition in the evening, and she used to make us chant Ramaraksha Stotra. She was into bhajans, and she was in a spiritual school. So she used to tell us that, you need to do all these things. She used to sometimes tell the moral stories. So it was very inspiring for me. Then slowly the violent tendencies reduced because she intertwined, she started giving me the spiritual aspect of that. Then I was also chanting mantras, I was sitting, doing very simple meditations. I did not know how to meditate. So I was just closing my eyes, just focused on my breathing. Yes. Okay. So I was just doing that. And when I was in ninth grade, I had a very interesting experience in Kolkata. Okay. So I came there to Ramakrishna Mat and I was doing meditation, and I had a glimpse that I should change certain food habits, and I have other purpose in my life. So that day, immediately I became a vegetarian. Okay, gave up on meat. And in fact, my family, obviously, they felt that what is this somatic nature? All of a sudden, I just said, how can you intube something like that? But I was very, if I decide something, I'll do it, no matter who objects it. So I was very stubborn, and I kept at that. And a lot of pressure, emotional pressure, everything happened, and the family realized this guy will not change. Okay, anyway, vegetarian is also good. So I was a vegetarian from ninth grade, and then I was chanting mantras and all that. And I think that is what made me more inclined towards looking at alternative therapy books. I bought numerology books. I bought astrology books. Whenever I get pocket money, I have no interest towards buying gadget. Yes, I was into gaming. I used to play video games and all. That is one habit. But at the same time, I used to buy these books. So when I go, if I see some very interesting book, a book on hypnosis, a book on healing, or acupuncture, yoga, pranayama. So I had all these books, and I would read these books in my childhood, like
When you were in class 9, 10, no?
9, 10. I was reading these books. That was one thing, and also I remember my some of my aunties, even my mom used to call me a Dr. Chan, because they said when I was young, I was moving my hands, that if somebody falls sick, I would do like this. I would say, I'll heal you and all that. I don't know how I got that. Maybe I was watching too many Tolstoy films. So I'm doing that. And they used to call me that. And then when I learned Pranic Healing, my auntie, one of my auntie, she said, see, finally our joke actually manifested. Now you're still doing the same thing. And actually now you're healing people with that. So I was very inclined to that. So I was into spirituality before I entered Pranic Healing. She's especially thanks to my tuition teacher, Tanma. She was one who introduced me to spirituality. Then after learning Pranic Healing again, I met her after many years. And then she's like, wow, now you're so matured spiritually, you heal, you teach medications and all that. And then she also learned Pranic Healing courses. And in the class, I actually recognized this. In the class, I told this is the person who actually introduced me to spirituality. And she was very humble. She was very emotional, and she said, and I'm also very happy to learn all this knowledge from one of my students. So it was a very humbling moment.
Yeah, of course, like she was the teacher and now she's very, and sure she, for her it would be a proud moment. Yeah, she's seeing the student, being in this. Wow. Now, since you said you had different spiritual experiences and you learned about different types of healing and different kinds of meditation. So, what made you stick to pranic healing for almost like 25 years? What was special about pranic healing for you?
So I personally have read books. Apart from that, I have not. I have attended two, three introductory sessions of some spiritual schools, and I also did learn initially when I learned pranic healing. Wherever my friends go, they used to tell me, "Oh, this is happening. Shall we go there?" Because I am not very firmly rooted to pranic healing. So then I was like, "Yeah, we'll go there. We'll learn that meditation. We'll learn this. Okay, some healing is there. We'll practice some kind of sound meditation." So I used to go there. So I saw all that. The one thing I really was impressed about pranic healing, there are two things actually. One is open-mindedness. In pranic healing, Master Choa never recommends anyone to believe anything blindly. He says, don't believe because it's written in a book, or it was, told by some author or some knowledgeable person. Do your experiments and draw your own conclusions. So that approach I really like, because in pranic healing, everything we experiment and draw our own conclusions. Second thing about pranic healing is the ownership of life. What I learned from Master Choa was, whenever there is a problem, you have to look into what you are doing to contribute to that problem. So what happens, you start taking ownership about your life, you start taking corrective actions, and you start accepting things. That skill I did not find in many of these spiritual visits I had. Even when I attended lectures for a long, long time, nobody emphasized on character really. Okay, and in pranic healing, we believe that everything is governed by law of karma and the golden rule, and whatever is happening is a result of something that we had done, and what are the corrective actions. So that part I really like about pranic healing.
When I came into the pranic healing school, I was just wanting to know what it is because I'd seen my elder brother heal and he had learned the courses. And even before that, whenever I would have questions connected to spirituality or something is written in the religious book, and I'd met some yogis. So if I would ask anyone, their only answer was, "Oh, it is written in this so and so book, so you should just follow and don't ask anything." And as a young kid, that is not usually good enough. True. For most kids. And when I learned pranic healing, and the first thing before starting the class, and my instructor told me that you don't have to believe anything. You just experiment and see. I think that was what made me more like I resonated more with pranic healing because of that. Otherwise, I think maybe I would have taken a back step and maybe run away. But I stayed in it because we had the freedom to ask questions. We had the freedom to even contradict sometimes if we have some question. But as Master Choa says, contradict politely and also experiment and discuss these things. So that was something I think many people of, people who are more scientific in nature, who are more skeptical also, they find this very practical, like, yeah, very practical. And it's also, it gives you that freedom. You don't feel restricted that if I ask something, somebody will judge me.
Yeah, yeah.
So you feel that, okay, you can be part of the school without being judged just because you have a different approach or anything like that. Yeah, so that's something very nice. Now, one thing which caught my attention was you were mentioning about how when you were younger and you had all these fights with the children and maybe you even were physically violent at times. Now, I have known you for I think 8-9 years, and especially for last 4-5 years, we have I've known you closely. I've seen you in different day-to-day scenarios also. So for a person like me or any person I know, who has seen you, it is very difficult to imagine that you would be beating someone because I'm not, I've not seen you even misbehaving or shouting at somebody. Maximum I've seen you, maybe if somebody is misbehaving, you will be a little strict with them. So what is the impact of the spiritual practices like Aratic Yoga, Pranic Healing, which are helped you in this transformation? How has that helped in this journey?
Yeah. So in that, even in the basic course, we, mirror scan the spiritual card, we scan the aura. We will know what is the impact of, having a negative thought in our own systems. And why is it very important to be positive, to love somebody, to forgive somebody? It comes from the basic course.
Yes.
So what happens, it gave me a kind of practical understanding and knowledge on why we have to do all these things. See, these things are there in our religious books also. Nobody says go and beat somebody. They always said be kind to people, be like to animals, and everything was there in our religious studies also. But in Pranic Healing, the Pranic Healing actually acted as a bridge between science and spirituality. So what happened to my practical mind? I was getting convincing answers. Like, okay, if I get this chakra will get imbalanced. This spiritual cord will reduce. Okay, spiritual energy will go down. So what happened? My immunity will go down because of that the virus might infect, and I will not be able to think practically. My success level goes down. My relationship will get spoiled. So all that, a lot of details. And then I realized that ultimately, if I'm trying to beat somebody else, I'm beating myself down. And that moment, I may feel very happy that I was proven to be very strong physically. But actually, that whatever I've done would have destroyed my internal chemistry of my blood and many other parameters. Number two, it will also attract bad luck because of the law of attraction. You're violent, you attract violent situations. And number three, karma. You beat somebody else or bully somebody else, you'll also be bullied. Maybe not be physically, but maybe in your professional life or maybe in your personal life, these things will happen. Sooner or later, it will happen. So I realized that, okay, these things are useless. What I'm trying to prove. Okay. And also I realized that there are people, whatever you do to them, they will not change. Okay. Saying I'm not a police to change everybody else. I have to, in fact, police my own life. So such understanding I got in planetary. Plus, I realized that this anger, this violent tendency is also a type of energy, which in Ahati Yoga, Master Choa systematically guides us to do certain activities to regularly externalize them from your system and destroy them. And after that, we also ask for the positive blessings to, behave more politely, practice more loving kindness. So these spiritual practices of purification and conscious awareness, introspection, and inner reflection, when it was practiced, the violent tendencies gradually reduced. So physically, I was, violent, and I was no more violent in my mind. Like physically, I will not beat, but mentally, I would imagine that I'm giving a flying kick or something like that. So doing mental fighting. And then now I have realized that the moment I think like that of beating, hitting somebody or destroying somebody's life, because I constantly practice this Kechari Mudra, connecting tongue to palate. The taste in my mouth will change. So immediately I realized that, wow, this is impacting already my chemistry and it is not good for me. So I start chanting the Twin Hearts meditation prayer, the prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi. When I do that, so I calm down. In few minutes, I calm down, and again I'll smile and make joke. Okay, so this technique has been given to me by Master Choa, which is a really life transformation, and it has really helped me personally. It has helped me a lot.
Yeah. So this is something which I have also noticed. Like not only like you are saying, even personally, I had some weakness. Of course, I still have, but things which were more prominent, and even amongst other Karatik yogis, we all hear things like when we switch on the TV or nowadays on YouTube or Reels, we hear lectures. Okay, these are the things you should do. These are the things you should avoid. But not only do we get the teachings in pranic healing, but also the technique to do it. Because every kid knows that I should not be violent, and these are the drawbacks. But sometimes, in spite of their best efforts, they are not able to do it because their energy does not change. So, what I have noticed is because we learn how to change that energy or shift that energy, those techniques really help us. So, the teachings with the techniques, I think, leads to that kind of amazing transformation which you have just shared about your life also. Now, since you were talking about how pranic healing is a bridge to, like spirituality, how, it connects science and spirituality. So let's talk about the spiritual aspect of pranic healing. So when we talk about spirituality also, there are a lot of misconceptions about how spirituality works or how a person who's on the spiritual path should be. So I would just like to talk about those things. So for example, one of the things which I've noticed is people have this kind of unrealistic expectation on the spiritual path. So when they are new, because they see people around them are happy and peaceful compared to ordinary people. So they feel that their life is always going to be happy. They're always going to be blissful. And first thing, when they have a difficult time and they are not able to overcome that maybe within few days, they become disheartened. So they may be they stop practicing or they get demotivated. Sometimes they will get disconnected from the practices. And even sometimes when they see other people, especially if they are more experienced, like experienced trainers, so they'll see, okay, why is this person having a difficult time? So they get discouraged. So what do you have to say about that?
Okay. Yes, spirituality is, according to Master Choa, he says spirituality is a way of life. It's not like you sit there, do bhajans, you do chantings, you take bath 3 times, you fast. That is not spirituality. Okay, that is a practice. That is the external spirituality we do. But I would feel that spirituality is more of how you lead your life, which is more important because there's no point in doing hours of vipassana and suddenly get angry on somebody. Or you will say, I'm the soul, and I practice oneness with my higher soul, and suddenly the person sitting next to you, you tell that this person is inferior to you. They don't see God in the person sitting next to them, but they see God in formless form, or in the idols they see in the idols, or they see God in meditation, but they think to see the same God in the person sitting next to them. Okay, so that is half spirituality, not complete spirituality. So complete spirituality is like when you lead a pious life. You take responsibilities. You Whatever is good for you is also good for others. Whatever is bad for you is also bad for others. This is actually the golden rule. So when you inculcate that, then you realize that okay, spirituality is leading a good life. I mean, if you can't help somebody, at least be good. So that is the basics of spirituality.
So basically, what you're trying to say is that, rather than just thinking how the person is, I also feel that we should see how the person was before. So if we feel that the person is little short tempered, then maybe the person was even more short tempered before, but now they are better. But they are not seen how they were used to be before. So sometimes we have tendency to get that after so many years also, this person is the case.
Very true, very true. And also, there is one more expectation, like, they have a fixed mind in their head that a spiritual person should be like this. That contradicts sometimes what they see. And also, they expect that people should not have balance, which is impossible, when it's like, I give this example, the doctors, they expect that doctors should not fall sick. So they also fall sick because they are also human beings. So in the same way, people on spiritual path will also have problems. What has to be seen is how did the person manage to come out of that? Okay, we cannot say we will not have any problems. In fact, many people I have seen when they see problems in spiritual path, they leave the school. Or when they see somebody doing mistakes in the spiritual school, or they see some politics, they get discouraged and they leave the school. Okay. For them, I would strongly say that in every aspect of life, there is good and bad things, in any profession, whether it's in the spiritual path, whether it's in a business, whether it's in the legal system, there are gray areas. So it's there everywhere. The objective is we have to see what we want from this particular institute or what you want to achieve by learning pranic healing or by doing meditation. And always look at the guru because he started pranic healing. Okay, we are all trainers are like, he's just hands and legs. So we are just part of pranic healing, but we are not the system. The system is much bigger, much cleaner, much greater. So we have to ask where we fit in and how we can be a part of this beautiful ecosystem. And the problem is always there. And Master Choa always gives us techniques to how to overcome that, how to become better after facing the challenge. I think we should look at more of that and then move on in life rather than getting stuck and criticizing everything and leaving the system. Because the problem is when you leave the system, you're also not getting a lot of benefits that you actually get from that system.
Yes. So since you have mentioned Master Choa, you must have personally attended his classes and have had some experiences with him. So for people who have not seen him or don't know much about him, can you share some of your like memorable experiences, how he was as a person?
Okay. In fact, my meeting with Master was a life transformational experience, and that is what inspired me to take pranic healing as a full-time job, rather than me becoming something else in my life. So that was in 2001. There's a big talk going on everywhere. We had done our advanced pranic healing course, and then it was January 2001. People were saying Master's teaching psychotherapy. And Master always used to teach Akati Yoga or higher courses. And this is the first time he's doing psychotherapy in India. So, just attend that class because it's like directly learning psychotherapy from the Guru himself. Of course. So that was a big talk going on everywhere. So I was also very inspired. My teacher also told me, Vaibhav, group is going from Mysore. Even I'm coming. So, I feel blessed to attend Master Choa's class. So he was also coming, my teacher. And then a group of people were going from Mysore. So that is one reason I went for that class. Second reason was I had a cousin sister. She had a leukemia and she was in the last stage. And doctors were not giving any hopes because day by day she was becoming weak. She was unable to eat food, including the veins. The doctors were not getting the veins when they had to give some kind of support. So that was the stage, and she was counting days. And then I took her photo, and I thought I'll get healing done for her from directly from the Guru. So the class was there, and it was so mesmerizing because Pastor was an amazing public speaker, and he was explaining things very crisp and to the point. He's not going around and tuck tuck tuck. He finished psychotherapy in one day, and by evening 5, the class already got over, and he was leaving the dais, and we were told to sit in the same room because we had to receive the certificates.
Yes.
And Master also had done a mass healing. I had kept my cousin's photo and he did some healing in the group, and people were getting blessings, but in a group. So in my mind, I was not convinced that, like, this is what this is. Wholesale, you're getting every blessing and healing in the other stage. So I thought healing is, like how I learned in the basic course, you do distant healing, one on one. So then I was not convinced with that mass healing. So I had one more photo of her and I silently sneaked out of the room. And when Master was hearing the dais, I could somehow sneak out of the room. I just said, I'm going to lose, so just give me a space. So I just went out and I was waiting for Master there. And he came out and he was about to get into his car, go and catch Master. And I was holding his hand like this and I was crying actually. Then Master looked at me and he asked, what happened? Why are you crying? And I opened her photo and I told, this is my cousin sister and she is having last stage of leukemia. Please heal her. He did not get angry. His reaction was very loving, gentle. He accepted me. He knew that I was desperate. I was crying. So he made me comfortable. He said, okay. And he held my hand with one of his hand and he opened a crystal from his pocket and he did some healing near the photo. He was doing like that. So I was just crying, not knowing what was happening. I was completely into that. And after about, I think, 30, 40 seconds, he said, go. Healing is done. You can go. I like, mission accomplished. Okay, so happy. And then I came back. And that was, the one day was very memorable. And after that, what I noticed was this cousin sister, her condition improved. Platelets started regenerating. She was eating food. She was smiling. She had lesser pain in the body. Something really good after that experience. But unfortunately, of course, even after 3 months, no, after 4 months, she passed away. But the last 4 months, her condition actually improved compared to what she was before.
No pain and internal state, those things were
Yeah,
much
blood pressure did not survive. And that too, just what 30 seconds of healing by Master Choa. Okay. And that was something really, it, really impressed me. And then on her death, she was there, her body was kept. They're doing all the practices on the ceremonies and observing how her body burnt and everything. And I realized that, all that my uncle was very prosperous and very successful. I realized all that, all that money, prosperity, fame, beauty, whatever you have, at the end it goes there. It's just ashes. So sitting looking at that. And I was in deep thought, like what I'll do in my life. Okay. And I was looking at my grandfather. My grandfather is an advocate. Then I was looking at my father's deed and what he wanted me to be. So everything I was trying to analyze. And it was overwhelming with all that experience. And suddenly in my mind, I felt that look, Master Choa did that in just, few seconds. He brought a lot of hope. The pain was healed. Even though she did not survive, I still have high regards for Master Choa because he could bring that change in my cousin. And I felt that the world has a lot of doctors, engineers, lawyers, and everybody. But how many healers do you have like Master Choa? And that day, I realized that I should be a miniature of my teacher. I may not become like him, but at least a small this thing. And then I decided that I'll do pranic healing all my life. That was really decided in the year 2001. Not sorry, 2001. I think this was in the year 2003. 2002 or 2003. I still don't remember the exact date. So I realized that I have to do this all my life. Then I finished all the classes. I became a trainer also. And since then, I've never regretted. I never feel that I should not have been a part of the system. So I'm very happy and I'm very confident that I'll continue to practice.
So now we come back to a little bit more on the practical side. We have talked about spirituality. Now, flow from the professional angle. How does this spiritual practice or pranic healing help in our profession? And how does it help you also? I think you have some business and you also practice pranic healing as a profession. So how does that help you?
See, pranic healing helps you to understand energy. Okay. And when you see any successful businessman, you scan the aura, you check the energy. Big and the chakras are big. So they become influential. Now, people with small auras, smaller chakra, they also want to be like them. But they do not know how to get there. Okay. And in pranic healing, there are courses like Kriya Shakti and many other things which works on your internal system. And when you practice that, in a few years' time, the size of your chakra will become bigger. And you also understand that how charity, when you give share, you also are blessed with abundance. So how that charity creates a kind of entitlement for you to become successful in life. Plus, there are some internal limitations. Like for example, many people have low self-esteem. They think when something good happens to them, they sometimes say, "Am I really worth it?" Or if somebody appreciates them, they're like, "Oh no, 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 I'm not all that." So they, go back. Or sometimes they feel that if too much of money comes to them, they may become bad. all these limiting parts, or sometimes they feel that, oh, I'm spiritual, I have to do only service, I should not think about money. So there are all these calcified negative thoughts about money, wealth, and success. So in pranic healing, when we systematically break these patterns or energies in the aura and chakras, the aura, the chakra become receptive to greater abundance. Because when you give, when you help, you are entitled for that. But because of all these blocks, sometimes it doesn't flow properly. So that goes. Then you'll understand the art of prioritizing. Okay. Spiritual business management course teaches us the art of prioritizing. If you see me, you'll see me travel. I do BNI. Okay. I also do teach pranic healing courses. I also need people. So that is because we have the timetable. You know that this day, this work, this day, this work. So there is this prioritizing part. Plus, Master also teaches about Kabbalistic calendar that, brings certain energies into your system uh, in every 52 days based on your date of birth. So that when you understand, you can actually plan the whole year. Okay, which month, what you have. So when you do all that, life becomes easy. And Master always used to tell a busy mind always finds time. Right? Yeah. That's quite contradictory to our old beliefs. And when I actually start inculcating many of these things, what he has taught, I realize that the result starts coming. Wow, I'm able to multitask, do all these things. And then I see success because we know that it's also energy. And it's a formula Master has given. If you want to produce this is the steps you need to follow. And when you follow these steps, when you see the result, you're like, wow, I did not expect that. And you'll be so happy to see that success and happiness. I think Master has made it so simple and very practical that when you inculcate those things, you become more successful. In fact, when I took pranic healing as a profession, when I told my dad that after my law, I told my dad what I do is that I do pranic healing. In fact, I told my seniors also in my state. They're like, no, 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 Vaibhav, do practice law. Maybe after some time when I get time or do pranic healing on a weekend, something like that. But somehow my heart, my cousin thing. So I felt that I have to do pranic healing as a profession. And luckily, I got a job in West Africa for 2 years. I was there. My salary and everything was taken care of. So I had nothing to worry about money. Then actually, the challenge started when I came back because there I was getting monthly salary. Everything was fixed. I was getting students and everything. So when I came back, the challenge was there. Now I had to stand without anybody's support. I had to start my own business, firm of pranic healing, wellness business. So I had to struggle for the first 1.5 years. Then I started, practicing whatever Master Choa had taught me. Once I started doing that, things started falling in place. And then I met people who can connect me to somebody else. Like I joined BNI also, which helped me to connect to many people. So plus the management thing, the Kriya Shakti, self-healing, purifications, all that made me open pranic healing centers and take pranic healing as a profession. And that was the time when I did all that. Many people around me in Bangalore and many other places, they thought that wow, pranic healing has a career. Okay. And then they also were inspired to start pranic healing as a profession. And many of my students are into full-time pranic healing and they're quite successful. It's a very simple formula. Whether it looks sometimes, is it really gonna help me so much? When sometimes the doubts are within our mind, but the guru knows better. He has seen it, and we just have to follow the steps. And if you follow the steps, you don't have to be scared of financial problems.
Okay. So this is something which I was planning to ask next. Like you mentioned, you do so many different things. So, like we see your posts about, whether you're traveling somewhere or you're, like going on a trek or something. Of course, I know weekends, mostly you are teaching. Weekdays, you are healing. Plus, I think you have how many, 3 or 4 centers that will be different towns or different cities. And plus, you have a family, a daughter, and so you have other responsibilities. So can you just give an idea of like what does a typical day of your life look like? Because what I've noticed when you talk about scheduling, so two things. First, uh, many years back when I first spoke to you, I was struggling with how to balance everything because I had to teach, then I have to do some things to, spread pranic healing so that people would gain awareness. Then there's a healing part. And of course, then you have other responsibilities like related to your family. We do give time to them. And somehow one thing or the other was getting missed. And when I spoke to you, you just told me what you follow. And that just completely transformed when I started using that. I was able to do much more. Secondly, what I've noticed with you is that even though you're very busy, as you just said, that people who are busy always spend time. So whenever I message you, almost like 98, 99% times, you will message within half a day. Sometimes in rare cases, maybe it will come next day if you're traveling or something. And I want to see if that has a fixed time. There are fixed timings where you reply. So how do you schedule everything so that you can manage everything at the same time, enjoy life, at the same time, take care of your family?
Thank you. This is what Master also taught me. You have to first of all make a timetable. Just like when you have salary, you have a financial budgeting. I'll spend this much for grocery, this much for movies, this much for savings, this much for loan. So we make a timetable with our financial thing. So in the same way, we all should make timetable because there is only 24 hours. You don't have more time just because you're rich. So everybody has only 24 hours and only 7 days a week. Okay. So when you know that there is a limiting thing, it's easy to budget. When you don't know what is the thing, you can't budget because you don't know how to schedule it.
Yes.
So luckily we have only 7 days and 24 hours. So it's quite easy to budget that. So you need to really make a timetable. Like we have hourly, timetable, and you know that this is the hour when you will sleep. Okay. Then you know that these are some of the important things that I do on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we do that. Then which are the days you'll heal? Usually I heal on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, unless it's an emergency and I need to heal other days also. So I know that, okay, these are my healing days. Okay, when do I teach? So clearly all my classes are on weekends, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, then, okay, I started BNI. Where do you give time to BNI? Okay, Tuesday, Thursday. I give proper time to BNI. Now, again, it's not really fixed because sometimes it has to be flexible.
Yes.
Okay, so it has to be flexible. Okay, what about your family? What time do you want family? So for family, these days, these hours. So the family also knows that Monday, if I ask him for a movie, he will not take me. Because they know that because it's very simple. And they know that okay, on a Tuesday, if I ask something on this particular time, she will definitely do that. So they know that okay, this is the time. So when it's like that, it's very easy for also people around you to understand what you will do and to have that kind of expectations. Okay. And I'm being very honest, I'm not 100% perfect in that. Sometimes there are mismatches also, like sometimes I get too many things and I fail to do certain things. That is always there. But 90% of the time, what happens, this is helping me to schedule everything. And also, from the energy point of view, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because you focus more on healing, I think the energies in my aura are different. Okay. And Tuesday, Thursday, mostly I do BNI. So what happened those days, the energy of more of material, the marketing and the admin part, I think that energy flows in my system. And I have also family time. So when that I'm like a child, I just laugh, make fun, enjoy life. So I become that part. So the energy shifting is easy. I think the higher beings, for them, we make it easy when we have a timetable. They'll not know what this guy is doing. This guy is doing something else. So for them also it's easy. On a weekend, my aura is really different because I'm a teacher there and I have to channel different types of energy. So if you make yourself aligned with a particular timetable, and I always give this example of seasons, we have summer, we have rainy season, then we have spring, then we have winter. So it's easy for everybody to align their life like that. Okay, so in the same way, when you align your timetable like this, it's easy. And somebody says, that's why sometimes people ask me, sir, I want to talk to you. And my next question is, how much time do you require? People think, what nonsense? How much time you require? What is that? And I still remember when I was dating, yeah. So when my girlfriend asked, okay, let's meet. So I asked her the same question. It was quite offensive. So she said, I want to meet you. So like, what time? She said, 6 o'clock. Till what time? We're like, what? What do you mean by till what time? No? How can you decide the time? I said, look, I have certain commitments. And if you budget the time, no, I can at least schedule other things. If you don't tell me what time, it can be 6 to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. We don't know. So she felt really weird. And I got criticisms also for being like that. But for me, it's very important. And later she realized that this guy is, very disciplined. He does these things. Then she understood. But initially, the reaction of people will be like, why are you like that? But that's how it is. And that makes your life very easy. So that you budget your time and you start doing it and you start enjoying life also. Otherwise, always doing healing, always teaching, always meditation, it becomes monotonous. And you start getting bored and everything feels bored. I'll be very honest. Even meditation, I feel bored at times to do meditation. Okay. So how do I entertain myself? I'll go to on a mountain and sit and meditate. I have a different experience rather than sitting in my house and meditating. Or maybe I'll go to a temple and sit there. Or maybe I'll go to a relative's house. I meet some people and I do meditation. So when you do varieties of things in life, it really makes you enjoy life. Otherwise, this monotonous mechanical thing also becomes boring after some days. So it has to go with the flow. And that is what I recommend to all my fellow pranic healers, that you need to really budget and have time for everything. Have time for everything.
So I found two things interesting in what you said. First is, although you're talking about scheduling and discipline, eventually what you're saying is that will help you enjoy life, because then you also have time for enjoying. Okay, this is the time when I'm free and I can enjoy and I can do whatever I want. So because sometimes people feel, oh, if I'm too disciplined, then my life will become boring because I'm not doing anything. But rather, even I have noticed this, when I'm following the schedule, I know, okay, this time I have nothing to do, so I can do whatever I want. Otherwise, even if I'm enjoying life, I feel, okay, maybe I had that work to do. Or sometimes after that, you feel guilty, or because my work got left out. But since I have schedule, then I know, okay, I've done my work, and next I will do the work at so and so time. This time I can do whatever I want. Yeah. Second thing, what I also, the thing is that you talked about how you have a time for your family or for personal time. So there, I think the important thing is that you have to still fulfill that commitment, right? Because if you say, okay, this is the schedule, but you don't fulfill it, then of course that becomes the problem, right? So I think that is what would be my takeaway, that you have to eventually fulfill that commitment. Otherwise, of course, we can't just say it and then not follow that schedule.
And one more thing I'd like to add.
Yeah.
Let's say on a weekend, Saturday, the class gets cancelled. I've seen many of my co-trainers, they get frustrated. I say, how class did not happen? What about numbers, numbers, numbers? Sometimes people get obsessed with numbers and all that. So for me, if a class gets cancelled, of course, I'll reflect on that, like what went wrong. But sometimes we have to be practical also. Like it's not like every time we get a good number of students. Sometimes there are challenges. We did not do enough marketing. That is there. I keep that feedback. But what I do is instead of sitting the whole day and feeling guilty, I quickly make plans. Okay, class is not happening. Okay, let me go on biking. Okay, just go drive, ride, go into some jungle. I'll sit there. I'll sit, meditate. Maybe I'll have some. I'll eat. Okay, even food also. I have timetable for that. Sometimes break the timetable, do whatever I want. Try sometime roadside stuff. So all these little things will make your life very happy. And I don't, what do you say, care about what people think about me, because I think you also have seen me behaving very childish at times. So I don't care about what people think, because this is what I am. I can't wear masks and pretend to be someone else. I like to be more free. If I feel something, I'll tell you directly. Okay. And otherwise, if I don't like you, I'll keep my distance out. And people can easily look at that. Okay. And they can understand, okay, this guy is not talking to me. Maybe he's upset. So that is very, very visible in my actions. And it makes my life very simple. Okay. So I don't get frustrated if something doesn't happen as per the timetable. In fact, at that time, I'll leave it for something else. And but those things I have other priorities, so which I'm not able to do that. Maybe I do that during those times.
Yeah. So basically, we should not get too fixated with the timetable because we have to understand what is the purpose.
Correct.
Because I have noticed some people, they are so disciplined that sometimes they become rigid. Like if somebody wants 5 minutes, if there is an emergency, whatever happens, they will just do whatever they want. And that can really create
Correct.
problems and it frustrates them also. Because after a point, for example, if you do this for many years, say at some point you retire, then they don't know what to do because you have only done certain things in a certain way. And I feel with age, then also it's difficult to then do new things because you are never used to learning anything or having new experiences. So regarding when we are talking about having a schedule and how you should lead your life on a spiritual path. So what is your one message to people who are, especially the ones who are new on the spiritual path?
Okay. So people are new on the spiritual path, including me. I was like this. We use our full throttle. It's like running 100-meter sprint. We use all our energy, all our time, all our dedication, and we focus. Okay, which is actually good. But we should also realize that we should not be extremely rigid. When you fixate to something, you only do that, and you end up getting into a disaster. So you have to learn to be balanced. For example, I've seen some of my friends, they do meditation. They expect their wife or their partners also to follow the same timetable. They are good in a certain virtue. They expect the other person also to be best in that, which is actually, again, not proper because we're all different in many ways. Many ways. We all have many good qualities. The other person may not have those good qualities, but they have other good qualities.
Which we don't have.
Yeah, which we don't have. We have one type of weakness. So we have learned to accept that kind of weakness in others, but we are not ready to accept different kind of weakness which are there in others. So it's very wrong to see yourself or see your own qualities in others. Even though that is human psychology, we tend to see the same things in others, but it's not really accurate to see that because people are coming from different levels of evolution. So number one, we cannot fixate those rules on others. If you want to fix some rules on you, please do that. But don't expect everybody to behave like that. That is when you get into problems, serious problems with your family. So that is avoid fanatism at all costs. Because there is one more thing I'm seeing in some of the people. They get extremely fanatic. They only do pranic healing. They don't care about diet. They don't care about other things. They think pranic healing can fix everything. Okay, and they stop taking medicines. In fact, Master Choa also says you have to take medicines parallel to pranic healing. But there are people who actually skip all that and they completely do pranic healing for anything. Now they'll get into problems also. I've known one of my friend who did the same thing to his daughter. She had dengue and he only did pranic healing. He did not take her to hospital. Then the dengue became very advanced and her organs had infections and unfortunately the soul had to leave the body. And he felt very guilty after that for, not doing some things to his daughter. So this kind of fanatic extremist attitude we should always avoid. In fact, Master was a very practical man. That's why he came up with this public notice. If you see the book, Music Pranic Healing book, you have this public notice. So that showed that the Guru had so much of psychic powers and abilities. He could actually bypass many things, but still he made those rules. Like we cannot make medical diagnosis, for example. Yeah, we are not supposed to do medical diagnosis. We have to be very practical. So when we follow these guidelines and we have a balanced, practical approach towards everything, not just healing, about meditation, about virtue, about everything, then I think you can lead a happy, harmonious life. Otherwise, we'll become too rigid. And also, Master gives this example, and there's a hurricane. The trees that are very rigid, they get uprooted. And the trees that are very flexible, they bend and the wind comes, they bend. And after the wind is gone, they again slowly get up. So you have to be like that in life. So you have to be flexible. Sometimes at bad times, just be silent. Learn to be flexible. And again, you can be firm. I think this balanced attitude and always having a practical attitude helps you to be more successful and progressive in the spiritual path.
So basically, what I think Master Choa has also said, and it's said by other spiritual teachers that your hand should be in heaven, but the feet should be on the ground. So you balance your spiritual life and practical life.
Correct, correct.
Okay. Last few questions of this podcast. So first, what is your one favorite technique in the pranic healing school?
One favorite technique is love. I love twin hearts meditation.
And why is it your favorite technique?
Twin hearts meditation actually converted this violent person I'm talking about, okay, into more loving, more kind, more patient, and a person who can actually forgive. This kind of transformation I got with twin hearts meditation. Otherwise, by nature, I'll become very strict. That's my nature. I've understood this over a period of time. Become very strict, very rigid in my life, and I become difficult to people also. So, twin hearts meditation is number one, making me calm, cool, flexible, adaptive, accept things, bless, forgive. Plus, when you do twin hearts, you become an instrument of God, and you realize that rather than seeking things, you actually start becoming the giver. And when you give, automatically you receive. That is the meaning of that prayer also. So that thing has happened, and it's a beautiful meditation which you can practice anywhere. Travel, do that. It requires very simple preparation, and you do that, and it's very practical towards life also, because when you meditate on those lines, you understand deeper things about your own life. So Peanuts is something I really love, and I practice almost every day. It's not almost, in fact, I practice every day for many, many years. And I also encourage people to take up those challenges and start making meditation a part of your life.
Okay. So since you're talking about meditation, there are different kinds of meditation. Some are like very simple, like you said, when you were a child, you just meditate on breath. So I think these things can be done by everyone. Some are more advanced, like the twin hearts meditation, which we also teach to the public. So apart from certain people, almost everyone can do that.
Correct.
But there are some more advanced meditations, which, for example, which awaken the kundalini. So there are a lot of fears and misconceptions connected to that also. So can you just shed some light on Kundalini, why it is important, and what are the misconceptions?
Okay. So number one, Kundalini is a very advanced meditation. It's like traveling in a flight. You know, people people say though there are a lot of risks. The flight can explode when the time of takeoff, or there'll be a bird hit, or maybe it will crash. Like that, there are many misconceptions for people who are actually standing down and looking at the aircraft. Okay, what if it falls down? What if somebody slips and falls down? All these misconceptions. What if the pilot cannot see things clearly? What if they don't have a road, so they may take a different turns? What if they get lost in the space? All that a person who is not flying will think, staying on the ground.
Yes.
So people have not entered spiritual path or not have practiced Kundalini yoga. They have all these thoughts in their head that, oh, I heard that somebody became mad, that happened, this happened. So that is number one, misconceptions. Number two, Kundalini is a very important practice, because when you do Kundalini yoga, your body, especially the brain, the nervous system, and your body upgrades. So with that, you can actually handle higher spiritual energies. Now, every game has rules. Okay, in the same way, Kundalini meditation also has certain rules, do's and don'ts.
Yes.
Pranic healing also has do's and don'ts. Everything has do's and don'ts. Now, if you can't follow those don'ts, then you should not be doing that. Okay, sometimes, it's like selective learning. We learn what we like, and the other things we forget, and we actually, don't inculcate those things. Right?
It's like we just know how to accelerate, we don't know when to put the brakes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we try to modulate the techniques according to our comfort. It's like we tell, no, we Indianize the dish. It's a Chinese dish, but who prepared it? He will Indianize it. So something like that. So sometimes we alter or skip certain things and do certain practices, or sometimes we overdo it because we are so enthusiastic and we overdo it. That is also not at all encouraged. So when we do things that are not said by the guru, or when we mix different modalities or alter certain steps, that is when we can get into problems, because like I said, it's an aircraft. You cannot say, oh, I will not wait. That runway still is not clear. It's okay. I can still manage to lift the flight because before I reach that point, and they manage to, run when some obstacle is there in the runway. You can kill many people. So in the same way, oh, it's okay. I can skip that. I can still eat that. or you can still do that, and they'll still do Kundalini, then it's like taking out that flight with huge amounts of risk. So do's and don'ts have to be perfectly practiced. And it should not be overdone also. It's like you don't give rest to the aircraft, keep running, what will happen? It will crash because it cannot run so much. So in the same way, if you overdo Kundalini meditation, it can also give radical reactions on the body. So it's as simple as that. And Master Choa's Kundalini meditations are really advanced and it's very safe because there are many safety protocols, like we have a lot of cleansing techniques, physical exercises, breathing exercises, introspection, and techniques like blue triangle to systematically clean your weaknesses. And also during Kundalini, there are cleansing circulations and many things Master Choa has introduced to make the technique very safe. Now there are people who do these online courses, crash courses on Kundalini Yoga, and without any mentor, without any guidance, without much protocols, they follow that. It's like, I will learn flying online. You can definitely learn virtual flying online, but not a real aircraft. Okay, so in the same way, there are many things which cannot be learned online because you don't have the correct practice, experience, or guidance online. Okay? There are things you can definitely learn online, but there are things that you can definitely not learn online also. So that's why there has to be a system, there has to be do's, don'ts, there has to be timetable. When you have to do this, how frequently should I do that? All that comes only when you have a trained master with you. And there are also licensed trainers in Pranic Healing School who actually teach that. Now, I don't teach those meditations. I am not licensed to teach that. So these people who have those licenses, they have their own expertise in that field for so many years. And that is how they are licensed. So everything has a system. So especially when you go to more advanced techniques, there are more rules that also have to be followed. If you want to ride a bicycle, there are lesser rules. If you want to ride a two-wheeler, little bit more rules. If you are driving a car, more rules. Now, if you have to fly, definitely there are more rules. So in the same way, everything has different rules. And as long as you follow the rules, there will not be any risk. But if you try to shorten or alter, yes, there are huge risks. Falling from a bicycle is different. Falling from a two-wheeler has a different injury. Meeting a road crash is different. Falling from 30,000 altitude is a different risk also. So that is there. And please follow whatever the Guru has been teaching us because he's in that and he's teaching us. So as long as you follow that, you'll be definitely safe.
So to just sum it up for a layman or laywoman, like if somebody is interested in awakening the Kundalini, first, for simple meditation, it's okay to learn it online or through
Right.
apps. But for Kundalini meditation, maybe they can just read about it, but not really practice it like that without any guidance.
Right.
Secondly, they should learn from somewhere where, there is personal guidance and people, somebody who is experienced in that matter. And third, any system which they follow for Kundalini awakening should have proper preparation for, I think, the physical body, at the same time, the energy body and the, at the emotional and mental level, so that they are prepared to handle that kind of energy. And fourth, as you said, of course, certain do's and don'ts or, moderation has to be done.
Correct.
So that they, start the practice gradually and then
True.
do whatever is.
And I would like to add one more thing. Macho is very brilliant because, before teaching Kundalini Yoga, he teaches us the basic course, the psychotherapy course, then he teaches those advanced meditations. Now, if you try to understand why he does that, because many people who come to pranic healing, they ask, I want to do Kundalini Yoga, I want to do Dhyan. Can I go there directly? The answer is no, you can't go there directly. So they'll be like, why you are forcing us to learn healing because we are not interested in healing. We want to go deeper into spirituality. And we are, unnecessarily marketing these courses. You're trying to get more fees from us. So I tell them, look, spirituality is like going to a jungle. Okay. And if you want to go to jungle without learning how to cook, without carrying a tent, without carrying a portable stove, you will not survive for more than 2-3 days. Maybe you'll be eaten up by some wild animal or you'll starve and you will die. You'll not have any survival skill. Okay. So learning basic advanced psychotherapy is like giving you all these essential trainings as to understand what is a chakra, how do you measure a chakra, what is excess energy, what is depletion, what is contamination, how these thought forms can influence your spiritual path, How does negative thoughts amplify when you put fertilizer in it? And how to systematically clean those things? What do you do when you get a headache because of over meditating? Very simple things like this. So when they understand how to measure, quantify, do that, when they go into the advanced spiritual path, they already have tools and techniques and experience and expertise to manage all those things. Now, without understanding it, I know many people who are my friends from different spiritual schools. They talk about chakras, that deity, this bija mantra, this visualization, this color. So ask them, good, you have a lot of knowledge on chakras, but do you know how big is your Mooladhara chakra? They're like, what? They're like, how big is like, how do you measure that? So I tell them, I can easily measure a chakra. I can tell you what is the size of a Mooladhara chakra. And I can tell you what is more for you, what is less for you. Can you quantify that? They will fail. They will literally fail. And in pranic healing, anybody, an advanced pranic healer, can easily measure the size of the chakra. Okay, so they know what is excess, what is less. So I think we have an added edge, added technology over many other spiritual schools, because Master Choa is giving us all these techniques, experiences, expertise before going into spirituality, which makes this a very, very, very safe school and a super powerful school.
Thank you. Yeah. This is something which I would completely agree with. So, before ending, last question for the young pranic healers who are very interested in making it a profession. I know so many of them who would like to be full-time healers or they want to become trainers, but they get to have doubts or inhibitions or questions like, oh, how will I manage my family? I need to take care of them. They have so many different doubts. Now, you are one person who has been practicing pranic healing since so many years, successful healer, very successful trainer, and as we saw, like you do so many different things. What would you like to tell them who are aspiring to be professional healers? Why is it a good profession to take up? And what are the things they should think about or take care of before taking it up as a profession?
Okay. So, number one, take pranic healing as a profession only if you feel it from the heart. It should not be like, oh, I did not have anything, so I do pranic healing. No, no, no. It should not be an escape mechanism. I was getting too much of this thing, so I do pranic healing. In my regular job, I was not, let's say, I was not happy or I was not doing that. So, just as an escape mechanism, I'm doing pranic healing. That is also not a proper decision. Okay. The proper decision is number one, you should feel from your heart. You should feel like, okay, I want to do this because I love this. This is my passion. Then only you do anything for the guy, any profession. Don't do it just for like a resort sake. Just don't do it like a last resort. It should be your first choice. You should feel it from your heart. Number two, be very practical. When you start chronic healing, like any other profession or business, you'll not make money in the initial days. I would always say that have 1 or 2 years as a buffer time. This 1 or 2 years of your time, you invest on learning, like, you become a law graduate, but you can't really become an advocate lawyer because you had to apprentice. So in the same way, this 1 or 2 years, you keep it like an apprentice period. So you work, start being in a center, learn from a trainer, slowly get your licenses, understand that the system works like this, go through that. Okay. Then slowly you start also investing and start doing things on your own. And then you get that experience. Also remember Master's techniques are there. Energy technique. It's not about MBA, financial management. That is a part of the system that you learn with experience. But also there are energy techniques. Master always gives us that what are the internal obstacles? Are you karmically entitled? Are you doing your meditation regularly so that you magnetize people around you? Do you have any serious flaws? So you work on all those things, then you will definitely become successful and nothing can stop you from being successful. So you need to understand the physical aspect of it by apprenticing, by spending time, by not expecting that you'll become super rich in just 1 or 2 years. It's a process. Okay. That is one aspect. And also the other aspect is the energy aspect. So just do everything, whatever is taught, the meditation, the tithing, the healing part, then work on the energy system also. And always my suggestion is do not do pranic healing just for gaining that financial benefit. Okay, like I said, you have to feel it from the heart. Why do you want to do pranic healing? Money always comes in any profession if you do it properly. The ultimate objective of pranic healing is to, help people elevate their sufferings and to transform their lives, not just relieving pain. The transformational aspect, that is the main aspect. You're just healing somebody with a heart block. Now, okay, that is good. But what is the end benefit of that? The patient should understand why, first of all, why he got a heart block. Maybe he did not forgive somebody. Maybe he was carrying too much of pain and anger in his heart. Because that he had a heart block. Did you teach him forgiveness? Did you heal him emotionally? Did you bring that transformation in him that he became healthy and he could also inspire others who had the same issue? And did you also done pranic healing? Okay, if you have done that, then part is done. Okay, so we have to see that aspect and don't see patient as just one session, how much money I get. If you have that, please do not get into pranic healing. Okay, if you have that leadership quality where you want to bring this transformation in people's life, then get into pranic healing. The money will flow as long as you follow the spiritual laws and you care from your heart. That's it.
Thank you so much for that. I actually agree with that because sometimes the people come and say, I was doing so and so kind of job and it was very stressful. So I feel that, okay, here there will be less stress. Or here, there are something
That is the escape mechanism.
exactly what you were saying. But they don't realize even in any profession, even if you're meditating and if you're healing, it will have its own stress. Because, for example, if you have 4 patients who are in the hospital, their family members will call you. You will have stress connected to that.
Right.
So some stress, or if you're working in a group, everyone will have their different ways of working. So whatever we try to escape, eventually they face the same thing over there. But if they are realistic that, okay, this job will, or this profession will also have certain challenges, then I think they do better. Because I think all the people who are successful, not only for few years, but I've noticed the ones who are there for 10, 15, 20 years, and they continue to be successful. I think the starting point is that they still have that kind of enthusiasm and passion about healing, about teaching, or when they see the lives of people transform. Yeah, so I think that is a very good message for all the young healers and young aspiring professional pranic healers in the future. So with that, we would like to end the podcast. Thank you very much for all your time, all your valuable insights. I'm sure a lot of people, including pranic healers, including ones who are not in any kind of healing or spiritual system, will get a lot of benefit from this. And as an ending note, I would personally like to say, uh, this is something which I really like and admire about you, that even in today's podcast, um, you don't try to pretend that, okay, you are some person who's very spiritual, so you have to be perfect. So you're so open, sharing your past mistakes, or even currently, if you are not good at something, you are very open about it. This is very rare to see because people who are on the spiritual path, sometimes they feel, okay, if I talk about my weakness, people will judge me. Of course, it doesn't mean that you talk about everything every day, but at least we should not portray that we are perfect, because that is also a sign of humility. And I feel other people are then realistic, because what happens is the new students, sometimes they make a mistake. They feel, oh, this person is always perfect, but I'm not. But then they realize other people also have flaws. So they can accept themselves and then continue in that journey. So thank you for being very open and, talking about how you are as a person rather than trying to, project a certain image of. So that is something which we are also getting to learn. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the viewers. I hope you enjoyed the podcast and you're going to again a lot of understanding about spirituality, about pranic healing. Those who have not learned, find the nearest pranic healing center in your city, in your country, or contact us if you want any kind of guidance where you can learn pranic healing. We will connect you to the nearest place, or if you want any other help, please feel free to contact us. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.